We're here with Brian Patterson, president of the eMerge Alliance, and he's going to tell us about the world's first microgrid powering part of a trade show.
Hi, thank you. I'm up on the balcony of the second floor of the convention center here in New Orleans and at the Greenbuild exposition of 2014. This year at Greenbuild we decided to put in the world's first microgrid that is powering part of the trade show floor, utilizing solar panels that are harvesting power from the sun off the balcony here at the convention center, combining that with utility power that's coming from power lines overhead, as well as storing the energy from either or both of those sources in batteries so that we can operate at times when solar isn't available or not able to fully handle the load down on the show floor. As it turns out, most of the time, and the solar, we're not ideally positioned, but the solar hits about noontime here, full force on our panels. And from that time forward, as the train goes past, from that time forward, the trade show floor is mostly powered by the solar panels with very little assistance from either the utility or the batteries. Now what we did yesterday morning when we inaugurated this system, which by the way was just installed on Saturday, it's more or less a plug-and-play version of a microgrid. These panels are on a trailer and they're portable. And we located our rectification and bus combining and batteries system up on a small equipment room on the third floor. We run a cable all the way out to the show floor of the power that we're producing, which by the way is all in the form of DC power, not AC power. So we have the advantage of which is that we don't have to synchronize. There are no inverters in the system in terms of the transport. So that makes it a lot simpler to combine these different sources without losing power in the inverter. In any case, yesterday at 10:30 when we inaugurated the system, we actually pulled the plug, if you will, on the utility, simulating what would happen if you had a natural or man-caused disaster and you lost utility power. What would happen? Can you continue to operate? How big of a disruption? With this particular approach to a microgrid, there is no disruption. It seamlessly then just allows the power from the battery and from the solar to recombine and take over where the utility left off. The battery packs that we have here are a technology called lithium iron phosphate technology, a very safe and resilient form of battery, which pretty much can be recharged and recycled for many years, decades, without deteriorating like some other technologies do. In any case, those batteries then, the way we sized it here is they could operate at least a full day on battery power in case we had no sun, we had rain or something. Fortunately, beautiful Louisiana, New Orleans weather, we haven't had that issue. We've had great sunlight. So the batteries are maintained at full charge all the time. So we purposely went off grid yesterday at 10:30. We called it Greenbuild Unplugged. And we powered about 15 of the trade show booths in an area we call the Net Zero Zone. These are all companies that are engaged in trying to come up with solutions for making net zero buildings easier and more economical. And they're surrounding us, and actually the power generated up here feeds all those booths down there, almost like a little community of trade show booths. In the middle of that community, if you will, is the eMerge Alliance booth. We're a 501c nonprofit writing standards for the use of these kinds of technologies, and we're also educating, promoting the ecosystem to support that technology. Our booth is in the middle, so we became somewhat like a computer hub or a substation in the power, the big grid, where we actually then distributed the power out to the various booths. Some of the people downstairs, including the eMerge Alliance, have already switched over a lot of their equipment, taken rectifiers out and all the brick chargers and things that use to convert AC to DC out of the equipment downstairs because they're being supplied natively DC power. So they have no losses in their system from this point down because they're not having to change that power from AC to DC. But still the majority of people, just like the real world, are using AC. So we do supply them with AC. That AC is actually made in what we call pure sine wave inverters downstairs, microinverters. And so they get a really nice, high-quality version of AC, which is protecting them from any disturbances that the utility might do or their own wiring system in the building might cause. So they're getting a really high-quality AC. I have to mention anecdotally that the night before the show opened and we had finished the little microgrid and we were here late, we did this over about a day and a half installing this whole thing, so we worked a little bit long hours. But the tradespeople on the show floor, it's an enormous and beautiful convention center. It's recently remodeled, so it's really a gorgeous convention center. But they often traverse around the convention center on these electric carts, very similar to electric vehicles that we talked about coming into the economy. And normally at night they have to drive those electric carts all the way down to a marshalling yard where they can plug in and get power. Because the trade show floor, they turned off all the power. But now, because we were a little microgrid, we're like a little island of power, and we were there at midnight and so on and so forth. The trade people saw our AC plugs available, and they tried them, and they saw that there was power there. And unbeknownst to us, because we're up on ladders and constructing the booth, they had plugged in about 10 of these Cushman vehicles with their electric chargers. They were each about 1 kilowatt of power, because it's the only place they could get AC power without driving all the way about a half a mile over to the marshalling yard. Saved them that trip by getting local. They could charge their vehicles essentially right from our booth area. It's called the Net Zero Zone. So it's kind of ironic. We didn't know it, and all of a sudden we looked up at our dashboard and we see that it's pulling about 10 kilowatts. And we simply looked and we counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 carts out there, checked it on the metering, and they had plugged into our grid. So it's an interesting thing how people, it's kind of like when you're going through O'Hare Airport and you need to charge your cell phone, you look for any outlet. That's what they did. They found us, and we were actually charging their electric vehicles all night. Another little demonstration, I guess, of the microgrid. But that's what we're doing. We've gone on and off grid several times as a demonstration, and we will continue to do that over the 2 days. And we'd just like to invite everybody not only to review what we did here, because it's the first real microgrid that's been at a trade show, but also invite you to next year's show, Greenbuild 2015, which will be in Washington, D.C. in November of next year. And we're working already with the USGBC and Hammy-Wood, who produces that show, to have an even bigger demonstration next year with a bigger microgrid. Hopefully we'll still call it a microgrid, I think we will. But it will embrace a lot more of the trade show floor. And it'll all be similarly solar powered. Maybe we'll even have some other power sources like wind and fuel cell and so on. Because again, we're non-synchronous, so we can combine as many disparate sources of power as we want, relatively simple onto our grid. So thank you very much, and I hope if you can, that you watch this video, and if you have questions, get in contact with eMerge Alliance at emergealliance.org, and you'll be able to read more about what we're doing. Thank you very much.